Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video doing JMA Friday. As always, on a Friday we're having a detailed look at the weather for the month ahead, and this is going to take us more or less to the end of June, so we go through the first month of the summer with this update. Just starting off with situation across the country today. We've got this narrow band of rain currently, but we see here on the radar picture from the weatheroutlook.com, and it's stretched out from southwest England towards the Midlands and northern England with another burst across parts of Wales. It's fairly sporadic at the moment. It is a band, but it's becoming more patchy in nature as it drifts southeast. However, the real focus today is going to be across East Anglia and southeastern England, because as this front pushes down, it's running into very warm, humid air. It's in the southeast. It might generate some heavy thundery showers or thunderstorms down across the southeast this afternoon. It's a little bit touch and go about whether these showers will kick off, but there is the potential in the far southeast for some thunderstorms this afternoon. So I thought I'd just begin with a bit of a heads up about that. Right, we'll look at the next month with the JMA and CFS V2 models next, starting off with the Japanese model, of course. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period takes us from the 2nd through to the 9th of June, so from today through to next Friday. We find that we've got the Northern Hemisphere up here. Of course, this is the North Pole. Up there, and then the Northern Hemisphere is round here. But British Isles is just there underneath that blue area. So the blue colours on these charts are extrapolating to low pressure, and that's a very deep area of low pressures out to the west-northwest of the country, and a strong jet stream is running across the Atlantic into the UK and much of Northern Europe as well. So that just looks really unsettled for the week ahead. Definitely weather patterns have taken a turn for worse, or are taking a turn for the worse as we go into the start of June. That looks like a little bit of an Atlantic onslaught coming through there with a proper return of the westerlies. We go through to week 2, which takes us from the 9th through to the 16th of June. And again, looks very unsettled. The trough isn't quite as deep as it is in week 1, but it is very Atlantic driven still, with the flow coming off the Atlantic. Bands of rain pushing through the country. Again, that looks really unsettled there as we're running up to the middle part of June. And then we go into weeks 3 and 4, which is the 16th through to the 30th of June. And it looks like it's staying unsettled, really. Quite a deep trough is still there out to west-northwest of the country in the Atlantic. We're probably lifting the jet stream a bit further north. It doesn't really show heights rising to the south, but there may be some ridging pushing up from Spain in towards France as we're going into this second half of June. It looks like the jet stream might be going a little bit further north, but overall it's still quite a deep trough that's in the Atlantic. It still looks pretty unsettled really as we're going through into the second half of June, albeit possibly with some drier conditions developing down in the south. Let's have a look at the temperature and precipitation anomalies that go with those heights then. So the British Isles on this particular view is in the top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. Reminder of the patterns of the week ahead. This is the coming week, the 2nd through to the 9th. Again, really deep low pressure in the Atlantic and the jet stream coming through the country. It does look genuinely unsettled there. So you expect a wetter than average week ahead. That's what the model is showing, above average rainfall in the next week. Temperatures aren't too bad. They are still holding up around or above average there. So relatively warm in the week ahead, but it does look really quite unsettled indeed. And then we go through to week 2, and again we've got low pressure in the Atlantic. Not quite as deep as in week 1, but still looks Atlantic driven, still looks unsettled to say the least. Temperature and precipitation anomalies look like this. So temperature anomaly in the week 2 period, the 9th to 16th, that is coming out warmer than average. So temperatures are holding up all right. It just looks quite unsettled. And again, we see with precipitation that is coming out above average. So warm and wet really through the first half of June. Moving through to weeks 3 and 4, we find the trough still in the Atlantic, possibly beginning to lift out a little bit. Maybe the jet stream starting to push up a bit further northwards as well. That's indicated by the precipitation anomalies. So for Scotland and Northern Ireland, it is still wetter than average for those 2 weeks. For England and Wales, it's turning a bit drier than average. So it does imply the second half of June should begin to see a bit of a recovery in pressure from the very unsettled conditions that we have in the first half of June. Temperatures remain quite warm, so it's above average again. It looks like, if this is right, we're going to have very significantly warmer than average month, to be honest. Just unsettling the first half, and then possibly drying out in the second half. Those temperature numbers look a little bit over the top, particularly for weeks 1 and 2, given the unsettled nature of the pattern. I would have thought it's likely that the temperatures in June, if you're in an Atlantic June pattern, are likely to be a little bit cooler, actually, than that showing. So it may be the model is going a bit over the top with the temperatures. Does look unsettled, possibly something drier and warmer into the second half of the month. CFS V2 looks like this. Again, these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period going from the 2nd to the 8th of June. Low pressure is in the Atlantic, below average heights, and running into Northern Europe with the jet stream coming through like that. So it just looks genuinely unsettled in the week ahead. Good agreement for the next week between the JMA and CFS. And good agreement for week 2 as well. This is the 9th to the 15th of June. Again, below average heights around and to west of UK. Jet streams coming through a bit like that. So it continues to look unsettled. First half of June, I think we've got quite a protracted period of unsettled weather to get through. We go through to week 3, which takes us from the 16th through to 22nd of June. Still looks a little bit unsettled, but you notice that pressure is rising over Scandinavia, so a recovery in pressure is starting to take place. The jet stream is beginning to do something a little bit like that. It is still on the unsettled side, but it's less unsettled, if you like, than the first 2 weeks, becoming drier, probably becoming quite a bit warmer as well, because we started to pull up the air from more of a southeasterly type direction in that pattern, so that should be warmer there. And then we go through to week 4, which takes us from the 23rd to 29th of June. We've got the Azores high out to our southwest, but we've still got average heights up to the north. I think that's an improvement, really. It might still be a little bit unsettled, especially so to the north, but I think overall the models are in agreement. JMA and CFS V2 are in agreement in that the second half of June should be drier and warmer compared to the first half of the month, which does look unsettled. Finally, temperature anomaly is looking like this for the month ahead. So week 1, 2nd to the 8th of June, is close to average, really, with the temperatures in the week ahead. Perhaps still a little bit on the milder than average side, although Ireland is coming out colder than average. Week 2 temperature anomalies are again close to average, maybe a little bit on the cooler side. This looks more sensible, really, given the pattern compared to the warm anomalies that the JMA is going for. I would have thought, given an Atlantic-driven pattern in June, we're likely to see temperatures no better than about average, really. Of course, nights could be quite warm if it's cloudy and wet. Go through to week 3, 16th, 22nd of June. Temperatures are going a little bit warmer than average then into the second half of the month. And then week 4, again, it's close to average, no great deviation, but maybe a little bit on the warmer side. So that idea is there that the first half is on the cooler side, the second half is on the warmer side. Precipitation, finally, so the 2nd to the 8th of June, the week ahead, looks generally average to wetter than average. Week 2 precipitation, that one coming out wetter than average as well. Both models in agreement that the first half of June is going to be unsettled. Then we start to lose the signal in week 3, the 16th, 22nd of June. That's average precipitation, and that continues into week 4, 23rd, 29th of June. I would have thought those are a drier couple of weeks compared to weeks 1 and 2. So they're fairly good agreement, really, between the two models in what's going to happen for June. Not necessarily saying they've got the pattern right, of course, but if they have got it right, the first half looks unsettled with quite a bit of rain, The second half looks drier. Temperatures are interesting, but JMA wants to have a warm month throughout. I think that's a bit over the top. I would have thought the first half is likely to be a little bit on the cooler side, if anything, and then the second half, as it turns drier, probably turns warmer. Overall, maybe a little bit warmer than average for June, but nothing excessively hot in the first half. Wait and see what happens in the second. Right, that's it for now. We've got weekend forecast coming up tomorrow, of course. And also we'll have the June month-ahead forecast from Gazobis. That'll be tomorrow morning also. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.